Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Mirage bracelet. This was created by Keith is Looming Mad on Instagram. I'm going to put his Instagram page right here so you can check his page out and see all of his other creations. So this is a really cool design. It does take some patience. It takes a little while to make. I'm only going to show you how to make a small piece, but of course I'll tell you how to make a full-length one as we go through the video. So for today, you will need 194 bands total. The breakdown is 52 of this baby blue metallic. You'll need 40 of this, it's called Opal, but it's like a tannish caramely color. 48 of the limited edition blue that I have here on the front. You'll need 6 of the gold that sits in the middle right here. 24 of the pink that's also in the middle. You see it right here. And you also need 14 triple cap bands. I'm going to use a purple glitter. You don't see it. And you'll need 10 more bands to connect the bead on to the bracelet. Also, you don't really see that either. So a couple hidden bands that we have there. I almost forgot to mention you will also need 10 beads, of course, if you plan on using them. And you will need some type of hook to be able to easily attach the bead onto the band. So for now, let's get those supplies ready and we can get started. To make this bracelet, you will need to have at least 6 bar pins. So you can see I have the 2 middle ones aligned. And then you're going to have to stagger them down from there in a diagonal line on each side. Also, if you want to do a full-length bracelet, you will need a whole another set of 6, and you'll connect them right in front of this one. I cannot think off the top of my head if I have a video showing this setup, but if I do, I will link it in the description box below. So to get started, we are going to choose the baby blue that I have sitting on the side right here. So I'm going to be doing this exact bracelet today, by the way. And we're going to start. You can grab 2 bands right here if you want a more secure close. Or you can even wrap 1 band around both pins to make a cat band. That's up to you. I am just going to lay 1 going straight across. But again, if you want it more secure, you have that other option. From there, we're going to go to the right 2 times. It's early in the morning, you guys, so I probably sound a little bit raspy. And we're going to go to the left 2 times as well. From there, we're going to lay them going straight down the sides. If you're doing 1 loom set like I am, starting on this first pin here, you're going to lay 10 straight ones, and then we'll bring it into the center. If you're doing a full-length bracelet, you're going to lay 22 straight ones, and then bring it into the center. For 2 loom sets, you're going to see that you could technically lay another row. But the reason I don't have you do that is because you won't be able to follow along with me if you go all the way to the end of 2 looms. So if you lay 22 and then bring it in like I am right here, you will be able to follow my looping exactly. So you have to bring it in 2 times to meet up with that very center pin like so. We'll come back to the beginning and you're going to do the same exact thing on the left side. So it would look like that once both sides are matching. I did push mine down. I would recommend you do the same. We're going to come back to the beginning and we're going to put this color to the side for right now because we will be laying that color a little bit more later. For now, we are going to choose our next color and that's going to be the side bands right here, the opal bands. You can choose 2 colors if you'd like I did on this one. And that's what Keith is Looming Mad did on his. I'm going to use 1 color. We're going to be laying a bunch of zigzags. So starting on we're going to go down the right bar pin. So we're going to start on this corner pin on the right. We're going to go diagonally to the left. And then from there, back in. Then from there, we'll go back out diagonally to the left and back in. And we're going to zigzag all the way down the loom. You will stop once your last band is coming back inwards and meets up with the very end of your bracelet, which will be the corner pin down at the bottom. I'll show you that, of course, once I get down there. I have to keep turning my loom because it's very wide and it's hitting my camera, so sorry about that. Okay, so this is what I meant by the corner. So it's last one is going in, your first set of band border is here, and the last one ends connecting right to that. So we're going to do the same exact thing on the left side. So go ahead and get your left side laid just like that, and I will meet you guys back here. Just want to show you once you are complete, this is what it will look like. So go ahead and take a second and push all of those bands down. Once you do that, we're going to choose our next set of colors. And that is going to be my limited edition blue that sits right here. Now again, for these bands, I mean for any band, you can choose whatever color, but you can always play around with these. We're going to be laying like a half of a starburst basically on each side of the loom. So I alternated 2 colors. I got this theme idea from Keith is Looming Mad. On this one, I did all one color, which is what I'm going to do today. But of course, it is up to you. But we're going to go ahead and start laying these. So from this right pin right here in the middle, we're going to go straight. And then from that same pin, we're going to keep going out to the surrounding pins. Like I said, it will be like a half of a starburst. So from there, we'll go diagonally down to the right. And then up to the right. And then straight. Then you have to do the exact same thing on the left side of the loom. So we'll start by going straight, and then from that same pin, we're going to keep going out to the surrounding pins. Like so. Where this last one ended right here, that's where we're going to start our next one. So we will always start by laying it going straight. Go diagonal down, diagonal up, and straight. Mirror that and do the exact same thing on the left side. So I will go straight, diagonal down, up, and straight. We're going to keep repeating that going down. So I will go straight, diagonal down, up, and straight. We will repeat that on the left side. And we are ready to start that all over again. So go ahead and keep getting all of these half of starburst laid. I will continue, and of course I will show you what mine looks like when it is down near the end of the loom. If you're using 2 loom setups, you're just going to keep repeating the same exact process until you get down to the end of your bands. Our looms will look identical. You will just have a longer loom than me. Alrighty, so I have all of mine completed, and this is what it's looking like. Hopefully I'm not too zoomed in here. So the band that we're choosing now is going to be that gold that sits right in there. It's kind of tucked in there, but you see it. You can see it better on the back. I'm going to stick with that color, and we're going to be laying some horizontal bands on every other row. So we're not going to lay anything on the very first center row. We're going to come up to the next one, and it's basically the center of the starburst. See how we laid half here, half here? It should be laying right in the middle of that. So we will skip the next row, come up to the middle of our next starburst, and lay the same thing. I call it a starburst. I don't know if it's supposed to be a flower, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Skip this one, come up to the next, and we will do that on every other row until there are no more left. There will be 6 of them in the end. Like so. So let's come back to the beginning, and we're going to choose our next color now. So we're going to lay the pink one, and that is also kind of tucked in there. I'll show you from the back side. So it sits in here in the middle. We're going to be laying a bunch of X's. I'm going to use this pink metallic from the Sparkle box. we're going to lay X's all the way up to center row or rows. So I like to start on the left and then cross it from the right. You don't have to do it that direction. It's up to you, but it's just what I always do. And we're just literally going to lay these X's going all the way down the middle until we reach the end where our bands stop. Alrighty, so that's what it's looking like. We're going to come back to the beginning and we are going to choose, we're actually going to go back to the first color that we laid. So this blue down here. I showed you earlier with the band count. You don't really see it a whole lot from the front. It's right there. But we're going to be laying a single chain on the second rows in from the center. So I like to start on the right side right here, and we're just going to go straight all the way down the loom. Like so. Remember, come back to the beginning and do the same thing on this one right here. Like that. Go all the way down to the end, and I'll meet you guys back here. Okay, so hit that pause button until you're caught up. I just want to show you what my loom looks like. So both of my rows are done now. I'm going to come back to the beginning. And for the next set that we're going to lay, you're going to want to make sure that your center X's are pushed down. We have a lot of triple cap bands to lay. Not my favorite thing to do, I'm not going to lie, but we have to do it. So, we don't see it a whole lot. Actually, I don't really see it at all on my bracelet. It's a triple cap band that's completely hidden. It's basically just to loop out of. So, I am going to just use this glitter purple so that you guys can see it good. But the color doesn't matter because you don't see it. So, we are going to be laying triple cap bands on the center pins that have that gold band. So on the two middles. We won't lay it on the ones that don't have that horizontal gold band. Only the ones that do. So you can do the triple cap band a couple different ways. You can of course use your hook, which is hard for me because of my nails, but you wrap it around 3 times. And then you grab the entire band and attach it on. We'll try to see if I can do it. I'm sure everyone knows how to do a cap band if you're doing a design like this. Alright, like that. Or you can do it on the pin. I do it kind of weird. I use my fingernails. Like so. So we got the second row capped. Make sure you're capping both of them and not just one big one. We're going to skip the next one, come up to where our next horizontal gold band is, and we will do the triple capping again. So go ahead and get your cap bands on every other row from there, and I will come back and show you mine when they are completed. I have all of my cap bands done. I'm going to come back to the beginning, and we are now going to lay our last set of bands, which the bead will go on. So there is a couple different ways you can do this, but one thing you must have is some kind of like skinny hook to attach the bead and band on together. So I like to use my double-ended hook, and I use these little grippers just to be able to hold it better. I'm going to use this clear glitter band. You really don't see the band that much. I mean, it pokes through a little bit, but not really. So you can kind of choose whatever color you want. And then you need to, of course, have 10 beads. So I'm going to load just one bead on for now. And I'm going to show you the first way that you can do this. And before I get it on my hook, I just want to show you, we're going to be laying these bands on every other row, but we're not going to be laying it on the rows that have the cap band. So the row that doesn't have those cap bands is the row we'll be attaching it to, and we'll be attaching it to the middle and to the side. So it's going to be a long stretch over these two. Alright, so the first way you can do it is grab your band. We're going to wrap it around 2 times, so you're making a cap band. Then you need to grab the entire band I have to use my finger now, so I imagine it's going to be a little difficult doing it this way without nails. Slide your band on, bring your loom over, attach the left side to the loom, make sure your bead goes on, and then pull the right side over and attach it. You do want the bead to sit right in the middle, so I push it over so it sits centered like so. You have to do the same thing on the left side. So I'll load another one. I'll show you one more time this method, and then I'll show you the other way that you can do it. I find this way to be a little harder. It takes a while. So the other method that you can do, I'm going to turn my loom around so the openings are facing me. I'm going to go to the pin that I know I'm going to need it on. So this is where we did our last one. We're not going to do anything on the pin underneath of it. We'll come right here, and you can come to the middle and see that there are no cap band on it, so we're on the correct row. I'm going to place a cap band on the outer row. Only on the outer row, or you can even lay it on the inner, but I feel like we have more room to work on the outer row. So I did a regular cap band right there, and right there I should not have used clear. But I'm going to load my bead onto the hook. I'm going to turn my loom a little bit to the right. I'm going to pick up this cap band, but don't pop it off. You have to be very careful not to pop it off. Slide the band on and then pull the band over and attach it like that. We'll do the same thing for the opposite side. The main part with this side, doing it this way, is you don't want to pop the band off. So just be very careful. Pull the band, slide the bead, and attach. You can worry about centering the beads once we have them all on there. But remember, we are doing this on every other row. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done really quickly. Or not really quickly, but try to get this done. So you guys can go ahead and get yours done as well. Whatever way you find easiest. I'm just going to get all of my cap bands on the pins that I need them on. And it just makes it a little bit faster to go through and add the beads. Okay, so I hopped off of camera to get the rest of my beads done. It was just hard to try to reach around my camera. So I got them all on. You should have 10 of them total. So hit the pause button if you're not caught up. If you are caught up, we are going to grab one more band of the very first color and make a cap band down here across the 2 center pins so that we can start the looping. I like to place a cap band on one of the pins in the center, and then I just use my hook and stretch it over like so to both. All right, so we're officially ready to start looping the bracelet. Yay! So the first thing that we're going to be doing is looping all of the X bands, so my pinks. So we're going to start down here in the cap band, grab my left X, and loop it back to itself. You're just sitting it right on top of the cap band that's there. Cross the right side of the X and do the same thing. We're going to go into this pin now, and we're just going to keep looping the X's. But when we get to the pin that has the cap band, just make sure you're getting inside of the 2 bands and the cap band, and then grab your X band. Loop it up, back to itself, and cross the other direction. The pin that has the cap band is a little tighter, so just take your time. On these pins, we do have the double cap bands, so you'll have to move that out of the way to grab your X band and loop it the same way. So we're just going to do this all the way up. Just make sure you're not grabbing any of the other layers, because there are a lot of layers on these center pins. Just reach down far enough to where you're grabbing your X band and you'll be good to go. So that's how it looks once we are completed that part. We're going to come back down to the beginning and we're going to start looping the yellow, or the gold rather, band that sits on every other row. So that horizontal band that's in the center there. We're going to go into the left pin. Make sure you're pushing back the top layers. You're grabbing that horizontal band and you're going to bring it back to the right. I like to push it down. And then we're going to go into that pin and we're going to grab the other side of that same gold band. So we're grabbing this one right here. It's kind of hidden, but right there. And we're going to cross it back to the left. Right here. Grabbing the bottom of the gold and looping it to the left. Now be careful with that part, because if you don't get it back on the pin and like you miss it and it comes undone, the whole band's going to unravel and pop out. And it's kind of a pain to get it back in. So I would push your bands down so you have plenty of room. We're going to push the top layers back. And we're going to grab our gold horizontal. Bring it to the right. And then go back into that pin. Grab the bottom part of that same band. And bring it to the left. We would do that to all 6 of them. So mine looks like that once I am done. We're going to come back to the beginning. And I did forget to tell you guys something, and I do apologize. It's very unlike me to forget things. But we have to add a triple cap band to the 2 center row or second rows in. So grab a band. It doesn't really matter what color. The color that I added in the band count was the same color cap band I used on the centers. I'm just going to match it to the blue that I have here. But whatever color you decide to use, you're going to place a triple cap band on the second row in on both sides right here. I am really sorry. I kept forgetting this part when I was making it. Now I forgot it in the video. Alright, so now that we have our triple cap bands on there, now we can start looping the next part, which is going to be looping up these single chain, or rather straight bands that are on those rows. So we're just going to go into the cap band that we just placed, grab the top blue and loop it straight. Go into that one, grab your straight blue and loop it straight again. When you get to the pin, like I just did, where you're going over the bead, mine kind of wraps around it on its own, but if it doesn't really matter. I just loop it and kind of ignore the fact that the bead is there, because when you take it off of the loom, you absolutely have to fix it no matter what you do right now. So you could get that bead laying perfectly in the middle. When you take it off of the loom, the beads are going to be so smushed in that we have to do a lot of fixing to see them. So just loop this straight up, and don't forget to stick around to the end so I can show you how to get your bracelet looking how it should look, because it will not look that way when you take it off of the loom at first. My stomach is growling. Alrighty. So I have that side done. We need to do the same thing on this row. So go into your triple cap band that we just applied and loop that single chain all the way up. So go ahead and get yours done and I'll meet you back here. So this is what mine looks like once both rows are done. We're going to come back to the beginning and we're going to start looping out what I have been calling the starbursts. So we're going to start down here where the cap band is in the beginning at the very center. We're going to start by grabbing the top blue, the dark blue, loop it up. After you loop it up, we're then going to go in the pin and loop the 3 remaining bands back to themselves. So go in here and you're going to grab the next dark blue that's in line. That one will go downwards. The next one will go upwards to the right and then straight. Do the same thing on the left side. You're going to bring this bottom one up and then go into that pin and loop the remaining 3 all back to themselves. To start that again, we're going to come up here to where our last ones were looped. You're going to go in here. We always start by looping this one going straight. And then we will loop the remaining 3 back to themselves. I'm going to set my loom down. It's a little easier to loop. Do the same on the left side of it. Always start by looping the first one going forward. And then loop the remaining 3 out. Come up here and do the same thing. If you want to get both of the straight bands looped up at once like this, so that they're both done, and then go in and loop each of the 3 out, you can. It's up to you. Just make sure you don't accidentally forget to loop that one going straight. So go ahead and get the remaining starburst looped out, and I will meet you guys back here when mine is all done. Alrighty, so I have got mine completed. Hit the pause button if you're still catching up. This is what it looks like. So we are now going to be looping the side opal bands. My bands, these ones right here. And we're going to be going into the second row in and looping from there. We'll be looping them all back to themselves. So I start on the second pin down here on the right. You're just going to grab your top zigzag band and bring it down back to itself. The other one will go up to itself. Come up to the next pin that has those opal bands on it, or your zigzag bands rather, and loop them back to itself. Oops. Like so. We're going to do that all the way up the loom. When you're looping the one that has the bead behind it, it's a little harder to get in there. But if you try to go, I'll show you when I get there. Let me show you on this one. If you try to go like over here to like the left corner of the pin, it makes it a tiny bit easier to grab it. Sorry, you guys. I have no idea how long I was like way over on the right side of the camera. Alrighty, so I have my right side completed, and now we need to do that same thing on the left side. So start on the second pin up, go in, and loop it back to itself. You're going to do the exact same thing you just did on the right side. So get all of your zigzags looped back to themselves, and I'll show you what we're going to do lastly. Alrighty, so of course, as always, hit that pause button until you're caught up. Once you are caught up with me, let's come back to the beginning, and we're going to do the last set of looping, which is going to be the border. We're going to be alternating 2 steps. But to get started, we're going to go into the cat band, grab the bottom blue, and loop it to itself to the right. Then you're going to move all of the top bands out of the way on this pin, grab the very bottom, and loop that to itself. We're going to go ahead and do the left side at the bottom at the same time. Like so. So I'm actually going to loop the left side first because you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little better. So the first thing we're going to do on this corner pin is just push everything out of the way again and grab the bottom and loop it up. From here, we need to flip some bands over. This is called the looming roach step, by the way, if anyone's not familiar with it. They have a channel. I'm not sure if they still have videos up, though. They've been around for many, many years. But they're the one that discovered this flipping step. So we're going to be flipping the two bottom bands of our zigzag bands. If you're counting on this pin, it's the fifth and sixth band down. You can't really see my clear one right there, but there is a band there. So if you're counting all of them, my blue is 1, and then we have 2 and 3 for my top opal, 4 is my clear, and then 5 and 6, which is these two. There we go. So 5 and 6, and then we just flip them up and over. After you flip it, you go back into that same pin, loop the bottom band up, like that, and now we are ready to do that flipping step again. So on every other row, there's a different number of bands. On this row, it's technically the 4th and 5th band that we're grabbing. But all you need to pay attention to, there's 4 of these tan bands here. You'll always need to be flipping the 2 bottom tan ones. And then we'll go in and loop the bottom border up. I would take your time looping this border band up. Every single rendition that I've made, I've only made 2. No, I did actually make a 3rd. But every one that I've made, I've broken a border band. So just be careful. All right, so we loop the border up, and now we need to grab the 2 bottom tan bands, or your zigzag bands if you used a different color. And then we will loop the border. Flip your bottom 2 zigzags and loop the border. When you reach the very top pin, at the top of your loom, you will not do any flipping. We're just simply going to continue looping up the bottom blue. So just keep grabbing the bottom band on that row and looping it towards the center. Once you reach right there, you are done that side. And we're going to now do the exact same process on the right side. So we don't do any flipping on this bottom right corner pin. Just loop up the bottom band. And now this is where you will start doing the flipping of the 2 bottom zigzag bands. If you absolutely have to, you can flip one at a time. But if you just take a second, you eventually are able to grab both of them at once. So go ahead and get this side looped up. I will show you mine when I reach the top. Don't forget when you do reach the top corner of the loom to loop in your bottom bands to the center like we did on the left side. Once you do that, we're going to grab that single band that we left down in there to close it up. You may have laid 2 bands or even a cat band, but either way, whatever you laid, bring both ends together, both sides, and that's where we will attach our C-clip. If you want to make an extension, if you only use 1 loom, you will need some type of an extension unless you're using like a keychain. You can use a regular extension. I do recommend doing double bands for your extension because this is a very tight design and that will just hold it together better. So after I get my C-clip on there, I do like to come back down here and I go row by row, releasing everything with my hook. So I'm going to do that, and then I will show you what mine looks like and how we can fix it up when I get it off. Okay, so I just want to show you how messy mine looks when I take it off of the loom so you don't think that it's just yours. The top side is the side that has the little bands like swirling up the sides. So make sure you're facing the right side, and I do like to stretch it left to right first, up and down. And now we need to get our beads to lay on the proper side because a lot of mine are popped onto the back side. So what I do is I locate where one of the beads are supposed to be and I start pushing it. But do you see that straight band that's right there? That band is supposed to be on the left side of that bead. So I push it over and I push the bead from under the bracelet at the same time. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Push that band to the right of the bead and push it from underneath. See how it pops it up? Come up to the next one. I guess you technically could push that straight blue band to the right as well. But see how it makes the bead kind of go inwards? So I like to make sure it is laying on the left side or the opposite side. Let's do that again. Okay. Yeah, because the band should technically be wrapping around both sides. But we're going to do that for every row that has the bead. Unfortunately, we do have to do a lot of fixing. But once you do that, see how much better that is? So yeah, that band needs to go on the inside, closest to the middle. Push the bead up from underneath. Okay, so I got mine all fixed really quick. And then the only other thing that you could do, sometimes these opal bands are a little bit too tight. So I try to like loosen it just a little bit on the sides. I pull on them. And then after I do that, going all the way up and down, I stretch it up and down. But otherwise, that is it. Just the beads is what you really needed to fix. But that is how you guys make the Mirage bracelet, created by Keith is Looming Mad on Instagram. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I know that it was kind of a long one, but hopefully it's worth it for you guys. Don't forget to tag myself as well as Keith is Looming Mad on Instagram if you make one. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you really soon at my next tutorial. Thanks, guys. Bye.